only 3 weeks left in the regular season, which teams that are college football playoff contenders have the best chance to make the playoffs based on their remaining schedule? I made this list based off of 3 factors. Number 1, how hard is the rest of your schedule? Number 2, where you are in the rankings, and number 3, how much chaos is needed for you to get in the playoff. The team with the easiest path to the college football playoff is absolutely Florida State. I know they have 2 rivalry games coming up, but the ACC championship game against Louisville, it is by far the easiest path of the 9 teams. Next, I have Texas with the second easiest path to the college football playoff. Their schedule is pretty dang easy. You have TCU, Iowa State, and Texas Tech. Additionally, I like their odds a lot against Oklahoma State, plus that win against Alabama is going to be a huge benefit if there were to be a debate between a 1-loss Texas and a 1-loss Alabama for that 4th spot. At number 3, we have the Oregon Ducks. Starting from this point on is where team schedules get a lot more difficult. But here's why I have Oregon above the rest right now. Their 2 hardest games against USC and Oregon State are both going to be at home, and they will have the opportunity to avenge their loss against Washington in the Pac-12 championship. So I mean, if all goes well, Oregon really controls their own destiny here. At number 4, I have Ohio State with the 4th easiest position to get to the college football playoff. They have already won 2 of their 3 hardest games against Notre Dame and Penn State with only Michigan to go. No disrespect to Michigan State and Minnesota, but if they win out, they're in no matter what. I just knocked them a few spots below Texas and Oregon, for example, because that Michigan game is much harder than those team schedules. At number 5, I'm going with Alabama here. They have no remaining top 25 games left this season against Kentucky, Chattanooga, and Auburn, and I think we're heading towards a massive collision in the SEC championship game between Alabama and Georgia. This is where we start to see some chaos needed, though. I think Alabama would need Texas to lose at least 1 more game to for sure guarantee they have a spot in the college football playoff. And although Washington is undefeated, I have Washington as the 6th best position to make the college football playoff. The tough thing here is that the committee doesn't even have them in the top 4, so there is really no margin for error already for Washington. And they debatably have the 3 hardest games of any team left. They host Utah, go to Oregon State, and then they play Washington State in that classic rivalry. Plus, in all likelihood, we're going to see a rematch between Washington and Oregon in the Pac-12 championship. At number 7, I have Michigan. Now, in all likelihood, they will be favored to win their 2 hardest obvious games left, Penn State and Ohio State, but if they don't win both of those, I just don't think they're going to make it. And I just don't see a path where they get enough chaos to have 2 Big Ten teams in case Michigan loses one of those. At number 8, I didn't forget them, the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia will arguably play the 3 hardest SEC opponents in a 4-week span between Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Alabama. The biggest worry for Georgia fans should be what happens if we win 2 of those games but then lose to Alabama. I'd hate to say it, but there's going to be a lot of chaos needed for 12-1 Georgia to go into the playoffs without an SEC championship. There are just so many paths that include the first 7 teams that I talked about to be conference champions or undefeated that would make it so hard for Georgia to be rationalized into the playoff. And finally, Penn State. In order for Penn State to go college football playoff, they would need to absolutely destroy Michigan this weekend, plus have some luck getting to the Big Ten championship with some tiebreakers, and then hope for some chaos. I just don't see the path for Penn State here. You would think that a lot of these teams control their own destiny to make the college football playoff, but what we're going to see is a lot of teams that are going to have an insane finish for the season.